Hey guys, how's it going? Kripp here. Today I want to give you guys a summary of my experiences and thoughts after playing the Witchwood Hearthstone expansion for one day. Well, it was a long day. I streamed for over 17 hours. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I hope you guys had a good time. I had a pretty good time. There are some issues, certainly, with this expansion, but there are some highs as well. So let's cover the constructed basis first of all. So on the just launch, there were a lot of very powerful, very crazy decks. It was kind of all over the place. But after, 5 to 10 hours, things started to stabilize, and people running fairly specific decks started doing better than others. And these specific decks, these are the top legend decks. The aggro paladins are working out pretty well. A lot of cards similarly used in the previous expansion, in the previous standard cycle, are being used again. The aggro paladin can go into the even shell, it can go into the odd shell, so it's kind of cool that both of those work out. The odd and even shells work with different decks, different classes as well, but I would say the best even deck is aggro paladin, and the best odd deck is aggro paladin. And the best deck that doesn't use either even or odd might be aggro paladin, but that's a bit of a debatable one. So aggro paladin is really good. No need for a deck list as it's extremely flexible. I've seen like 10 different kinds of decks that are all very strong. So aggro paladin is here to stay, as we all expected. Q block, control lock is also very good. It did have to go through several changes, however. It was not just copy the deck used from last expansion, though the basis of the combo is still the same. You get a Doom Guard, you cube the Doom Guard, and you kill your cube, and you get lots of Doom Guards. Then you play the Death Knight, then you're unstoppable. That part is largely the same. The other parts are mostly different, and it does feel a bit refreshing. If you were a cube lock, control lock player, you probably will have some fun playing the new version of the deck. And this deck is also near the top of the legend lists. The other new addition is Tempo Rogue. Tempo Rogue, while it kind of existed in the previous expansion, the new Tempo Rogues have a lot of different elements. They use a decent number of the new cards, and they're overall just very powerful. Tempo Rogue is, I think, the third extremely powerful deck being played right now. But things can change, and the big talk of the town is the Shudderwalk, the new Shaman legendary card that, the other video soon enough will be going over in more depth than this video. This card, the deck surrounding it with like some semi-infinite combos that last a really, really long amount of time during each turn. They're very good, but the deck overall struggles against aggro. I haven't seen a version that consistently beats almost any aggro deck. You're basically coin flipping against aggro based on whether you can get the heals at the right times and the board clears at the right times. So it's not good. It's not horrible, but it's not good against aggro, and it's excellent against control. But even though I talked about the 3 superpower decks, Q-Block sometimes plays like an aggro deck, and honestly, Q-Block is the minority. There are a lot of Tempo Rogues, and there are a lot of aggro paladins, and there's a few Q-Blocks, and honestly, there are very few other powerful control decks being played. I tried a few, and while they do okay against aggro decks, you certainly can't shut them out, and I haven't really figured out which control deck does. A lot of people have tried like Odd Warrior. I tried Taunt Druid, that was pretty decent. I tried just the super control priest, but I was kind of losing to Q blocks and I was losing to most of the random control decks. So the meta is still being flushed out, but it seems like those classes will be near the top. In terms of diversity, it's a bit problematic because most of those decks were being played before this expansion was released. So we'll see. Some people might get fed up with that. I imagine some people will. I imagine the constructed meta will be still pretty entertaining for a few weeks to come, but if either aggro paladin or Q block takes over the meta and it becomes a deck that you're playing into half the time on ladder, I imagine Blizzard will have to come in and change the balance of things forcefully, as they did with prior instances of Jade Druid. So that's generally what's up in constructed. In terms of the other side of things, the newbie side of things, the free-to-play experience, I think, is overall a lot better. The standard rotation cycled out Mean Streets of Gadgetzan, which, with Jades and stuff, was extremely oppressive to cheap decks, new decks, so it was like patches and stuff, because it's a legendary you need to play in aggro decks. Right now, some of the top Tempo Rogues, even some of the aggro Paladins, they are as low as 3k dust, so some of the top-tier decks in the game are actually very cheap to build. So surprisingly so, it seems like the free-to-play or cheap, modest Hearthstone experience will be, at least for the foreseeable future, quite pleasant. The other aspect of the expansion I was really looking forward to, I learned a few days before launch that it was actually not launching with the expansion. It was the Monster Hunt mode. So we all love Dungeon Run as part of Kobolds and Catacombs. I think it was largely the most entertaining, the best game mode, the best thing that they added to the game in a very long time. Well, Blizzard agreed, and they're adding a new version of Dungeon Run. So it's not going to be under the Dungeon Run system. It'll be under its own system, and it will have very similar rule sets, but it's going to be called Monster Hunt. So basically, this is the first thing I wanted to play. And I imagine this is the first thing you also wanted to play. But we can't play it. It's not coming out until about 2 weeks. The reasoning is sound because, a lot of people played Dungeon Run and they played it until like 1 or 2 weeks until they just got a bit tired of it. And then they went into constructed formats, but constructed format 2 weeks later was pretty awful, as is typically the case with new expansion launches. You got to get in there early on to really have a blast, basically now. And I think the idea behind delaying the PvE content for 2 weeks is so you don't compete with yourself, that is Blizzard's self. So people now are incentivized to play ladder or arena, and a few weeks later when those game modes, go down a little bit, that's when it comes in and refreshes people's interest and spikes some new entertainment within the expansion. So that makes sense, but honestly, as a person who plays the game, that sucks. That's bullshit. So I'm not too happy about that, but yeah, whatever. Hopefully the wait will be worth it. In terms of Arena, I did not play an Arena with the new cards, but I received constant updates from my subscribers and my viewers in Twitch chat, and Arena did change. If you're not aware of this, they changed Arena like 2 days before the expansion. If you recall, about a month and a half ago, something like that, they changed the way Arena worked fundamentally to where cards are not presented to you in the drafting process based on rarity. They're based on roughly how good they are. It's a subjective measure, but it's fairly accurate a lot of the time. So when they did this patch, they also had a patch note that bad cards would show up less often. Because, if you get a bad card, you'll have to be picking from 3 bad cards. You necessarily have to get a bad card in your deck, and there was some debate as how this would actually impact the game. Well, it turns out all the Arena decks after that change were crazy strong. Called them pre-patch decks. When I played against them like 2 weeks later, it would be like 2 to 3 legendaries. This was the time where the Lich King, the single one of Legendary, was in 9% of all Arena decks, which is about the frequency of like Blizzard against Mage a few months before that, just to give you some kind of comparison. So it was absolutely ridiculous card quality. And, less than a week later, Blizzard came in and hotfixed it. The fastest hotfix to like anything that Blizzard, I think, has ever done. Not just Hearthstone, like any Blizzard game. It's like, okay, this is screwed up. We have to fix it now. So they did. I was so happy for it. Arena has been awesome in the last month. And 2 days ago, they basically went back to crazy-ass Arena decks. And this might be okay because, different cards from different expansions, different standard cycles have different impact on how you actually play the game. So, it's kind of maybe a worthy test in, the general sense, but I think it's a really bad time to do it because of the standard rotation. We just had the standard rotation, so right now we have the fewest amount of cards in the standard cycle ever. And a month ago, we had the most cards in the standard cycle ever. So when you are chasing a specific few powerful cards, when that powerful card pool goes down to like half, you're basically going to end up with decks that have, 6, 7, or 8 copies of the same ridiculously powerful cards. So there really isn't any deck diversity whatsoever at that point. But, I haven't played it myself at length, so I'll give you guys updates periodically at that. But so far, my experience of the expansion is it's pretty well done. There's a lot of cool cards and stuff, but Blizzard will have to step in fairly soon here. They'll have to do something about Arena, I believe. I think there's a good chance that old constructed decks are going to take over anything that's coming out in this expansion, which is kind of expected. Some people thought this might be the case. seems like this might actually be the case. And I think Blizzard, third of all, will probably have to do something about the Shutterwalk, the new Shaman Legendary. Even though that deck is like a tier 2 deck, it just doesn't do well against aggro and stuff. I get it, but that card is bringing like 30-minute turns in some extreme cases. And, well, they fixed Nosdormu like 5 different times because of, like, you know, minor turn interactions on a comparative level to the new Shutterwalk cards. So some crazy stuff out there. Let me know your experiences. I think we're still going to see a lot of crazy stuff come up in the next few days. So stay tuned, check out the stream, check out the rest of the videos. And I want to leave you guys with some gameplay because I know you guys need some gameplay from that new expansion content. This was kind of a failed experiment. I wanted to make a priest deck that was just solely built to counter aggro, and of course I played constant Q block and other shaman decks. But in any case, I had a match against a Q block that I couldn't believe. So leave you guys with the end of that match. Hope you guys enjoy it, and I'll see you guys a little bit later. All right. Is that bad? Yeah, maybe it's bad. I don't know. What's that? Yeah.
Very useful.
I wonder. Tremble before Taldarom, mortals.
Sure, dude.
Tremble before Taldarom.
Oh, I see. That's pretty cool.
We hunger for vengeance.
Oh, what the fuck? Alright, that was not cool.
Awaken, my children.
You like Temporis? I'm pretty scared to play Temporis right now. Don't want to move it too much because I'm going to be in the other position shortly.
Almost out of time.
Dude, play as many of those as you want. Yep. Keep taking. I don't understand what the hell just happened. Okay, yeah.
Be gone!
I think I'm good.
Good demons are hard to find.
Oh, you want a Mortal Coil that?
Forged in blood and shadow.
Random guard, okay. It's doable, I guess. I think I have to do this no matter what. Man, I hope he can't kill me. He might be able to kill me though.
I'm almost out of cards.
I think if he doesn't kill me this turn, I'm in pretty good shape.
You're so sweet. You're so sweet.
Okay. That's cool.
I'm out of cards.
I don't really understand why he's milling himself so aggressively. It does seem pretty strange to me. Yeah, they all get so excited. Oh my god, we're playing, we're playing, we're playing, we're playing, we're playing. So exciting. Oh my god, I know. I know. You're missing an attack, bro. This is amateur.
I'm almost out of cards.
Yeah, no thanks. No more Doom Guards, please.
I'm out of cards.
Yes. Oh, yes. They'll serve
I am
me
out of cards.
now.
Did we just outvalue Cube Lock? OMG, boys. Okay.
You win. For now.
So satisfying. Tempora's lethal. Yeah, about that.